Aro mai tātou, ia tare reo o ke ia mokupuni, I kaikaroa o ke ia pai aino Hawaii ine aloha. E pule kākou, aloha mai. Hiki pa ia kākou pakahi apau e ku'iluna. Everybody please ku'iluna. Hemo papale if you haven't already. We're going to hapai ko kākou mau leo ia ke akua nana no e hapai ke ia pilikia a e pau ana. Okay, we're going to give this pilikia to our great God and He going to make him pau. Right? So let's pule. E pule kākou. E tō mātou mātua e roto tara nei a mātou manei ka rehulehu o ke ia ina nei. Maui nui a kama a koa mākou ma nei. No hokahi kumu. No ka hapa e wale ana. I na mea apau, na eha, na pirikia, na huikau. Ke aloha, na mea apau, hapa ia oia. Nau no I awa mo ke ia. Hera no ka puka ana, ka pono, no ka ina. No ka rehu, no ka rahui, no ke kaya ulu. Lord, we come before you today and we have one purpose. And that purpose is to represent your will as we discuss things about how Lahaina is going to look and maybe Maui is going to look moving forward. And so we just lift up all of our frustration and all of our pain and all of our suffering and all of our love and all of our kako and everything that we are. We lift them up and we place them on your capable shoulders. And that's where we're going to leave them. Maluno ko mau pohiwi. And now no I wamu ke ia. We leave it on your capable shoulders, man. We ask that you come before our group now and you give us your uhane, your spirit, that is maluhia, that is of peace and aloha and lokahi, unity. We come together in one voice and we say, by your will, mighty things will be done in Lahaina and are being done. And we claim that. Makainoa ko keiki hiva hiva o Yesu Kristo. Amen. Oh, and sorry, skip. Mahalo. No need clap for the pule. Okay, we also been asked if we can do ho'onani. Yeah. Ho'onani kama. Eo!
Mahalo nui.
Will the Government Relations Ethics and Transparency Committee meeting of September 27th, 2023 please come to order? It is 9:14 a.m. I'm your chair, Nohelani U'uhajens. Vice Committee Chair, Tamara Paulton.
Aloha kakayaka kako.
Councilmember Tom Cook. He's
Aloha,
online,
Chair.
I believe. Member Johnson.
Aloha, I'm Gabe Johnson. There's no testifiers at the Lanai District Office, and I'm here and ready to work. Mahalo.
Member Kama.
Aloha kakahiaka chair, and aloha to all the members who are here, and a huge aloha and mahalo to each and every one of you out there.
Council Chair Alice Lee.
Aloha, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you. I'm so glad that you took the time to come and share with us today.
Member Rollins Fernandez will be joining us in a few minutes. We have Councilmember Shane Senensi. He says aloha and good morning, guys. And then last but not least, Councilmember Yukile Sugimura.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's so exciting to see so many of you, and we look forward to learning from you and hearing what you have to share with us. So thank you for being here.
We also have with us our committee staff. To our right, we have Casey Apo Takayama, Clarissa McDonald. We have one item on our agenda. Have before us resolution developing a comprehensive island of Maui's tragic wild. Resolution develop a comprehensive island of Maui's tragic wildfires. A series of complementary ordinances. We are here and hear from you guys, voices of the West Maui community. I want to listen to your concerns and what you envision for West Maui moving. We understand that the community may your well-being, share what you feel comfortable. Since grade 14 is the only item will now open public. As a reminder, the purpose of today is just hear from you. There will be no legislation. For today's meeting, in person, best to hear from everyone. More specifically, from the in-person, followed by all other. Member Rollins Fernandez, good morning.
Aloha kakahiaka. But part of the reason I was late is I printed the West Maui Community Plan along with the maps, and then I pulled out a lot of the action items and put it on a one-pager, and I left it with Uncle Ke'iaumoku. So he has some copies for you folks. It also has the QR code if you'd like to pull up the digital copy on your phone or device.
And so the purpose of this comprehensive recovery and resiliency plan in response to the tragic wildfires is to try to pull out the things in you folks' testimony that each of the committees can work on. Like Member Cook has water and infrastructure. Member Johnson has agriculture, diversified economy, and public transit, and those types of things. So that's kind of the purpose. We're really looking forward to hear from you folks, your vision for Lahaina in the short term, midterm, long term, and also any solutions, suggestions that you have to offer. But if you need to just let it out and vent whatever's on your heart and in your na'au, that is okay. We're here for you for that as well. Thank you.
Velina Mekealoha. My name is Mikey Burke. My ohana have been in Lahaina for 4 generations. My kupuna came here from Molokai and Hawaii Island. It's hard to condense everything that needs to be said in the time allotted for testimony, so here's the Cliff Notes versions of what I believe needs to happen in Lahaina to move forward. First of all, there are too many decisions being made about us without us. Everyone loves to pimp out Lahaina, then sit back and collect the millions of dollars only to improve your districts and make quality of life better for your residents. Guess what? We're done. You want the money so badly? Pimp out your districts. Lahaina has been raped long enough. Your turns. Launch the illegal boat tours from your non-commercial boat harbors. Approve permits for surf and snorkel lessons on your beaches. Give short-term rental permits for every other zip code than 96761. Sound ridiculous? Exactly. If it's unimaginable for your districts, then it absolutely should not be entertained in Lahaina. You wouldn't tell an abused wife to return home to her wife-beating husband because she's been with him for decades and she needs him, right? Exactly. Stop telling Lahaina to do the same. And if you haven't already noticed, STRs do not serve Maui any longer. End STRs for good. When we rebuild, it needs to be done with residents being the priority. Everything else, like businesses, will fall into place as the support needed for the residents. If you build with tourism as a priority, then we will face the same imbalance and abuse as before. We are done. And as we rebuild, we need to take into account all the cultures that make up this town, with Kanaka Maoli people and practices taking the lead on these efforts. Why? Because while everyone is concerned about the rebuild from the ground up, only the Kanaka Maoli of this place are envisioning the rebuild starting from the ground down. The Aina and the Vai need to come first. After we take care of the Aina and the Vai, we can focus on the physical structure and infrastructures. Some requirements should be temporary emergency housing should be in Northwest Maui, from Ka'anapali to Kapalua. It should not be in the fire-prone areas south of Puamana, like all these backroom conversations are insisting. Front Street and all the shoreline communities should be turned into open space park and memorials and celebrations of what Lahaina once was, the capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom, the breadbasket of this Pai Aina, the melting pot of all the wonderful cultures that make up this town. Build walking and bike paths, restore Moku'ula and Mokuhinia, make Front Street the biggest cultural center Hawaii has ever seen. Do not build the structures along the shoreline again, as we've been discussing managed retreat for years. Fortunately and unfortunately, a large part of the managed retreat has already been taken care of. Design the town and neighborhoods to have wider roads, sidewalks, and greenways, non-negotiable. Change the planning and building codes to require the planting of native trees or fruit-bearing trees on each property being rebuilt. And just like a new build is required to have solar hot water, you can require a minimum solar plus battery too, and it will be cheaper to include in the build than after the fact. Restore Kamalu'ulu'olele and not just refer to it. Design better evacuation routes in these neighborhoods so there are 2 ways in and out minimum. And since infrastructure has to be redone, expand R1 water reuse to be able to supply all the new subdivisions and commercial areas and water the greenways and open spaces. Mayor Bisson announced a new emergency
minutes.
permitting office specific to the rebuild efforts. Cite this office in Lahaina and expedite development in the areas that are approved in our very thorough and vetted West Maui County plan. Focus on the newer subdivisions that already meet updated codes and get them going ASAP when we bring older neighborhoods up to code. Design with people in mind, the community plan in mind, Maukatu Makai.
Hello, my name is Maleko Burke. I am 13 years old. I used to live in Lahaina. I go to the Hawaiian Immersion School of Lahaina. I would like to see an automatic fire protection system. I would like to see all the historic sites restored in Lahaina. I hope that Front Street is fully restored. I hope that the banyan tree can make a recovery, but most importantly, the old native plants to Lahaina. I want to be able to move out of these hotels, for me and my friends to move out of these hotels and into West Maui where towns are normal and neighborhoods already exist. I don't want to live south of Lahaina because it will easily burn. I want Lahaina to be there for us and not for the tourists. Thank you.
Mai ke kumu ano kalai hai ai kona moi ana I ho male hua. Ai ku velina ya o kou ina lala o ka aha kalana a me ke kaiaulu o Lahaina. Aloha! O vau o Liko Rogers, he kumukai puni ma Lahaina no iwa kalua o I makahiki, a he kanahamo makahiki kalo ihi o ko unoho ana ma Lahaina nei, mai ka piha ana o ko makahiki Umikumakolu. My name is Liko Rogers. I've been a Hawaiian immersion educator here in Lahaina for more than 25 years, and I have been a resident here for over 40 years since I was 13 years old. I'm here today to speak on behalf of my ohana, my school, and my community. My main concern about the rebuild of our town is the future safety of the residents of Lahaina. We need to be assured that this type of thing can never happen again. We need responsible land management by those who own those fields of dry grass that was the root of the Lahaina fires. We need the power lines buried under the ground. I understand this is expensive. Well, so is cleaning up after a fire that devastates the whole town. We need a better emergency plan for Lahaina to include more evacuation routes. We need to make Lahaina safe. I would like to turn your attention to those people over there. We have brought with us our haumana, or our students. These are the keiki of Ke Kula Kaipuni o Lahaina, who are rooted and grounded in their culture and language. As part of their education in Kaipuri program, they learn to become stewards of their aina. Whether it be through traditional oli or through their actual testimony here today, it is important to us, their kumu, that their voices are heard and they understand that they have a say. No, not only a say, but a kuleana to stand up for what they believe is right for their community. These keiki and youth, along with their counterparts in the English medium schools, they are the future of Lahaina. We come here today as a kula to ask for your support in our vision of establishing a pre-K through 12th grade standalone Kaiapuni or Hawaiian medium school to retain affiliation with Lahaina Luna High School. In our vision, in the rebuild of Lahaina, we see this Kaiapuni school being built back up on the hill as a place where Kaiapuni education can thrive and continue to support the rich history and culture of Lahaina.
The next testifier is Kumu Kunoi, to be followed by
Mai ka ohu ana mai o ka ua palipo I ka ohu o hono ka hau ma ka moku o ka ana pali. Ai ka nene'e ana o ka ua pa'u pili Yuko pa'u pa'u ma ka moku o Lahaina, aloha nui kako. O ka noelani Stuart Keia, ano Lahaina mayau, mahalo nui ka ho e ana. I am a Kumu Kayapuni here with our entire Ohana of Lahaina and our Kiki Kayapuni. And I grew up down Mala on Ala Moana Street, right next to Lahaina Jodo Mission, and I am just one of thousands who were impacted by the deadly wildfire on August 8th. Our Nagasako family home that we lived in on A'a Street was completely destroyed. As you guys listen to all the mona'o that will be shared today to develop a comprehensive recovery and resiliency plan for Lahaina, I hope that you keep the voices of our people, our kama'aina with generational ties to this place at the forefront of every decision that you make from here on out. As Ohana continue to search for long-term temporary housing, I believe that our emergency efforts should be focused on places more north of Lahaina, where people have access to safe water and safe access to stores and local businesses that we can continue to support. In regards to the rebuild and vision of Lahaina, I'd like to share a few writings from our Hawaiian language newspapers that were printed in the 19th century to share context and perspective of a collective vision. In an article written by Daniel Kaha'uleleo in Kanupepaku Oko'a in 1867, he writes, Mamu aku o ke ku ana o na wili ko ma Lahaina nei, ua ike i aku na kahawai o kawaula, kanaha, kohoma, ua piha pono i ke kalo. Before there were sugar mills in Lahaina, kawaula, kanaha, and kohoma rivers and valleys were extensively filled with kalo. In 1898, Kaha'uleleo writes in another newspaper called Kaleo Rose o Hawaii, as he reminisces about his younger days. A'ole e kolu kaulahau mai kahakai mai, e uluana na lo'i kalo nunui. E hele oe mai ke la pe'a a keia pe'a o Lahaina, aia na lo'i kalo e uluana mamua a mahope o kauhale. He talks about Lahaina being in Aina Momona, an extremely abundant place, and that not even 3 chain links from the ocean, there are numerous kalo patches everywhere from every corner of Lahaina. You could see kalo patches growing in the front and back of all the kauhale. Written in 1880 in Ka'elele Po'okolu, our Aina is described as uluvehivehi, as a lush place where plants thrive, and it lists mea kanu, or plants, that were a familiar sight in that time in the moku of Lahaina. Ulu, kukui, koa, ko, niu, havane, or lolu, and the puhala. In the article, it continues to talk about the maka'ainana of that time, the people that tended to Aina, proudly residing in Lahaina with humility under the rich canopy of ulu. O ka maka'ainana ho'i e noho ha'ahewana me ka ha'aha'a malalo o ka malu ulu o nā ulu. I olelo ia e o ka malu ulu o lele. He umi kaukani kanui o nā kānaka o Lahaina o ia maula, e kahe ana a e ho'okena ana I ka make vai o nā lo'i kalo, lehu lehu he kaukani a oe. The stream waters were flowing freely and quenching the thirst of over 1,000 lo'i, all near the ocean in Lahaina. The people that you see in front of you today are the maka'ainana of this day. We aloha and tend to our Aina the best way we know how to. We continually show up to protect this place that we love, this place that has fed us and our ohana in so many ways. These are just a few excerpts of what Lahaina used to be like before our streams and springs were dewatered and before our Aina was taken over by sugar and plantations. Pineapple plantations. These articles from our Hawaiian language newspapers not only give us a picture of what used to be, but gives us hope of what can be, of what our Lahaina could potentially look like. Instead of building all those businesses along the ocean in Lahaina town, think carefully and critically about those businesses. Who did they serve? Did they serve our people, the people with generational ties to this place? Did our people benefit from them, or were those businesses continuing the legacy of an extractive industry? And if those buildings and businesses did serve our people, move them back up uka. We're all aware of the current status of our climate, and we all see the effects of sea level rise, especially as we drive to the other side, as the ehukai splashes on our cars as we drive by Oluwalu and Ukumehane. Instead of allowing those businesses to occupy our Aina along the ocean, plant the trees in that area that our kupuna talked about over and over again in our Hawaiian language newspapers. Plant the kalo, thousands of kalo patches. Plant ulu, kukui, koa, ko, niu, havane, and the puhala. Grow food and resources that will continue to sustain our cultural practices and contribute to the mauliola of our people. Grow these plants and trees so that this generation that you heard earlier and see in front of you and the ones that will follow no longer have to read about what Lahaina used to look like way back in the day, but they can see it for themselves, they can utilize it, and they can be proud of the choices that we make today. Halo Lahaina, malui ka'u. Mahalo nui.
Fires kumukala to be followed by
Ke aloha nui, yakako. Mahalo for having this here. And I'm just overwhelmed by all of our community that's out here, because we're all here for one purpose, which is our Aina Lahaina. I'm a Kumu at Kekula Kaiopuni o Lahaina. I'm also the educational director at the Huiva Kaulua. At the foundation of this, right, we already know we are in climate change. Like, this is it. Yeah, it's happening. And so if we are going to prepare to be resilient, our aina and our vai comes first. When you put that first, everything else will fall into place. Yeah. And so to echo what all of those who came before me just said, our kupuna nu, they wrote about it. Malu'ulu o lele, ulu. That's the food that's going to feed us. The kalo, all of those mea kanu, and they all want to be there. They can thrive there. They've been there for thousands of years. Also, too, when you put that vai back, that feeds our kai. Yeah? We need those reefs to counter what is happening. We keep building businesses on the shoreline. That's not happening. Just like Kumu Kanoi said, you got to think about why those people are there. Yeah? Is that a va'a? Yeah, that's going to go out there and educate our kiki and teach them how to malama kai, malama aina? Or are they just there to take money and send it off to somebody else? Aole hiki, yeah? Not only that, our kaya ulu needs to stay here, yeah? No push them out to Oluwalu or Ukumehame, yeah? Where there are no resources, yeah? They need to stay here, so we need to build that infrastructure. Something else that I heard earlier, bury those lines, yeah? Brah, the money that we spent right now, no matter that expensive, brah, we spent more just right now trying to recover that. We have to change because we are dealing with this now. What else? Gosh, man, there's so much to think about, but I heard evacuation routes. Yes, we have to. Yeah. So we have to change our minds and change what we're doing. And why are we doing this? For our keiki, for our mo'o, yeah? Moku'ula, yeah? Kihavahine. What was her kuleana? Our resources, our vai. We need to malama that first. Mahalo.
Wanted to clarify about what you said about evacuation routes. Lahaina Luna, Princess Nahiena and Lahaina Intermediate, Lahaina Luna. Just clarifying about the evacuation routes. Do you, as a kumu, are you aware of the evacuation routes for all those schools with the one way in, one way out?
Yeah, that cannot happen. Because, yeah, it's just one way in and one way out. So we need to have more than one. There has to be, yeah.
Just to let you know, some upcoming bills I'm writing is to bury the power lines. There's a bill coming through the pipe to bury the power lines.
Aloha kako, aloha. My name is Kalamehu. I'm a Makua volunteer for the Kulakai Punyo Lahaina. And I'm all about audience participation. So to the Ohana of Lele, we're going to do a little exercise, and I want you guys to take a listen to what I'm going to say. Yeah? If I say Eo and you agree, can I say this? We're going to just practice right now. Eo mai. Yeah, you guys got to say Eo. Eo mai. Eo mai. You guys pretty good at this, huh? Okay, sorry. That was before we're not starting the timer yet. Hold on. Okay. Aloha kakayaka, Kalameu Takahashi. For those who cannot be here, we stand together here today. For those who cannot speak, we lend our voices in solidarity. For those of us who have passed, let us honor and preserve their legacy by moving forward with pono. We must prioritize our aina, ohana, and community first. There is no room for visitors and a tourist industry and a century-old tactic that has indoctrinated and imprisoned us in servitude to the perverse idea that the people who have the most kuleana to this place should be spending our lives in servitude to these capitalist beasts and their superiority complex that treats us as subhuman. Eomai. Let me tell you a little story. On Monday, as our keiki over there, as an entire school took our keiki to Kapolua Bay, to Holo Holo, and learn about our Lawai Apono from our Makua, we encountered tourists who told our keiki who are fishing now, learning their traditional cultural practice in our place. Yeah? They told us, what they tell? Oh yeah. We encountered tourists who were fishing to move so they could set up their beach day because they needed shade. Yeah? When some of our Makua attempted to reason with them, letting them know about the situation of the keiki in the community, guess what they said? I don't care. Why should I? I came here to enjoy my vacation. While they're trying to call the cops and argue about the right to be there, their toddler got swept up in the surf and tossed around. And it was one of our Makua that took care of them, pulled them out of there. The foreign American ego and the desire to dominate supersedes the natural instinct to care for their own children. That is a sickness that we deal with and hurts us every day with microaggressions and blatant disrespect for our keiki ohana in place. Is this the industry that you are so desperate to save? Colonial domination over the genealogical right and kuleana of our keiki and future? No more. We refuse to let this deadly mentality and system dominate us any longer. Eo mai. Where temporary emergency housing should be for West Maui, between the two fire stations where it should not be. Not South Puamana, not Olowalu, not Launiopoko, not Ukumihame. Members of the council and Josh Green, get out of bed with Peter Martin and come tend to the garden. Ehuli Kalima Ilalo, replant, regrow, reseed the future of Lahaina. Cultivate a true sense of trust and solidarity in the communities you so boldly claim in the resolution and divest from this perverse mentality before the soil goes fallow forever. We already have to deal with your mess. No more. Power right there. No reason to prioritize private purveyors. Our ohana come first. Eo mai. We are replanting, recultivating our air, our sustenance, our mauli. Kalo ulu niu maya, return of the malu olele, restoration of the local mokuhinia, reconsecrate Lahaina, not as a paradise with no rules, laws, and civil structure, but the pico, the center, the capital of the Hawaiian kingdom, a center of abundance, healing, humanity, and due diligence. It is how we survived all this time. We know and are informed by our genealogy from time immemorial. It is how we will live on forever. This kind of peel stuff, not for it. You guys had your chance to build how you see fit, to control the resources and policies, to cause the conditions that set the stage for this disaster. People stayed in their homes to protect all they worked for under this system, to protect that they work to the bone for their entire lives, for scraps, and to cling to it until we perish. Never again. Lahui consciousness is about abundance for all, peace for all, safety for all. Let the community, not the developers, not the speculators and transplants, and surely not the American imperialist ideologists, plan for our future. If you're still talking tourism, if you're still talking building more, and you're still talking taking our resources for this economy, or for this tourism, whatever, for their play,
4
no
minutes.
can. Raja. You are perpetuating a problem, and you need to either pivot and align with the broader Hawaiian national consciousness and local community, or go back where you came from. Whether it's 3 months, 30 years, if you think that you deserve to flourish at the expense of our ohana, you're sorely mistaken and should book your flight now. Whoa, Ayo my, take it easy, take it easy. Expand R1 water use to provide
You're gonna have
greenways.
to wrap up, okay?
Ooh, okay. Sorry, it's gonna be fast. Our cries for justice and aloha and Aina sustainability sovereignty fall on ears fraudulently deafened by the kani of the keni. Aole makoa e mina i ka pu'u ka lau kia puni. Ua lava mako i ka pohaku. To be truly disaster resilient, we must divest from the system that caused disaster and understand the Hawaiian way and Hawaiian Islands is security of all forms. Almost, Paul, maybe 5 more years and I'm out. Yes, We're gonna go back to our little activity gang. You have solidarity in the proclamations, but where stay? Solidarity must include the willingness to decentralize power and recalibrate our political structure to ensure the humanity and the people and the integrity of the resources entrusted to the longest standing stakeholders, the lineal descendants and long-term multinational integrated ohana, working with the understanding that we prioritize the integrity of Hawaiian history, sense of place, practices, and culture. Eo mai. Quality public Hawaiian education. Quality public Hawaiian education is a key factor in priority and right for everyone in our community and Lahui, especially during this time of uncertainty. Eo mai. Our ohana come first, particularly the Aina Vayan Ea. Eo mai. Everything that we have accomplished was done so without any hesitation, no questions asked, out of the aloha and need to persevere and heal the mauli of our people, place, and pilina. The systems and policies that confine us will never liberate us. Eo mai. Our culture, our people are truly resilient as we stand here today, despite all that has happened, to continue to participate under duress in these colonial processes. Eo mai.
The next testifier is Imi Kaleleiki, to be followed by
Aloha kako. O ka imi hokulani Kaleleiki au. I was raised in the Wahi of Lahaina for most of my life, and my ties to this place go back generations. I remember my father telling me stories about his childhood in Lahaina. And it's so different from my own today. He told me stories about the mano and about how his family would sustain themselves off of this land, yeah. And weeks before the fire, I was working as an educator for Huiova Akaulu, and I was sharing these stories with my students. And I was telling them about Mokohinia and why we're named Malu'ulu Olele. And the questions I kept getting are, where is that? Because when you look around, it's not the same. Our people are self-sustaining. We are resilient. We do not need these industries that are in place today. And I know that might be controversial, but I believe that to be true. And I think the way we have handled this whole situation just proves that. It's time to put our people first. All of my life, I've seen us being treated as second-class citizens in our own home. And we are told that we need these outsiders in order to survive, and it is not true. It is not true. And if we had the Vai, and if we had the Ulu, and the Niu, and the Kalo, we wouldn't be where we are today. So it's time to put that back in place. And just to reiterate, it is 2023. We have the infrastructure, we have the technology to avoid this. It is time. And again, to reiterate other points, I don't believe we should be putting people south of Pomana.
3 minutes.
We should keep them in their Vahi. This should not be separated from their homes, especially now with everything going on.
To be followed by Kaliko Store.
Velina mai ka kou o vau o Kaliko Lehua Store, no ho vau ma leali'i Lahaina. I'm a graduate of Lahaina Luna High School, class of 1998. I was raised under many mentors such as Earl Kukahiko Jr. I have a great understanding of what Lahaina Luna has birthed, and you're looking at them. If 1831, 1835, David Malo became a scholar, and the purpose was to build scholars and to create the olelo no'eau that many of us have a deep understanding is ho'kahi vale no leo a ualava. One voice is enough. And that voice is, our kupuna teach us, our ike kupuna is simple. The mea kanu have been planted for such a reason. If we know that Pu'ukukui at the summit has been the second rainiest place on earth, simple. If our kiki understand, awamoke kuleana, they understand kulia ikanu, again, it's simple. We're one voice. And we don't just have an understanding of today. We have understanding from things that have been written from 1831. If our kiki kayapuni, our kiki of Lahaina, understand olelo no'eau, my charge to all of you is to understand it as well. Aloha.
Chair, the next testifier is Velo Nori, to be followed by Kumu.
Waipuna lau me ke aloha. E ka kone, o au o kumuku'u i Pavauko, he kumu ma ke kulakayapuni o Lahaina. I'm the third grade teacher at Princess Nahiana Ana Elementary, and I'm actually from the Ahupua'a of Waikapu on Wailuku side. And I only come here on behalf of Lahaina not on behalf of Lahaina, Kalamai, but in support of Lahaina, its people and its community on what they have to say, with the understanding that the rebuild of Lahaina should be for Lahaina, by Lahaina, and nobody else. With this understanding, I'm in support of whatever the Lahaina Kaiaulu has to say, because I have seen within the last week their capability to, within their hurt and with everything going on, rebuild a kaiapuni for our keiki on this side in Lahaina, Kaiaulu, pretty much from scratch. And we have moved so that we can be in our second week, Kalamai.
ha'alulu keia. In our second week of Kayapuni, on our huaka'is, doing what they need to do, and teaching our keiki that it does not take a standing building to create the community, the education, and the knowledge that they need to grasp from the land. Right? No laila, me kilamana o, I feel that Kayapuni o Lahaina should also, as we have mentioned before, come together to be as one, because we have seen the lengths and bounds of what it has done for our keiki, what kaikaina, kaikua, and our relationships can do for these haumana, and also what our aina can do for us if we just bring it back, help it flourish, and put it back, put all the systems back where they belong, as Ahupua'a once flourished and helped us rebuild our community in that way. Mahalo.
Kumuku'uipo. Ke aloha nui a kakoa pou, o wau o Kaunaoa Garcia, ke kupa o ka aina o ka ulula au, nola na I mai au. He kumu kaiapuni au, ma ke kula kaiapuni o nahi ana, wa a'o wau no iwa ka alua a oi makahiki. Aloha everybody, I am a kupa, I am a native of Lanai a ka ulula au. And if you know the story of Ka'ulula'au is from Lahaina. So my ties to Lahaina is that Lanai and Lahaina connection. And I do have kupuna from Lahaina as well. Aloha everybody. I've been a teacher over 23 years as a kumukaiapuni on Oahu, on Lanai, and on Maui at Kulakaiapuni on Nahi Ana. I've been here for almost 13 years with Kumuliko, and I wanted to let all of you know here that that's the mana'o I wanted to focus on, was education. Mahalo e nā kupa o Lahaina, no ko'okoho ike ana mai ko mana'o kupa'a I ka aina, I ka vai, I nā ali'i o ke ia aina nei. Yeah, so if you don't know the history, Lahaina is rich in the ali'i that established our education system, our public education system. Kaui ke auli, ka meha meha e kolu. He established that for our keiki, and it's still here till today. And if you don't know, it was in Olelo, Hawaii. Our education system was in Olelo, Hawaii. And I'm here to let you guys know, if you already didn't know, Kula Kaiapuni o Lahaina started school on August 14th. So like Kumukuipo said earlier, we went back to school. We are not gonna wait for anybody to tell us that we need to be back with our keiki. We all know that for our keiki to holomua and progress through this era, they need to be together. We need to be together. And we didn't wait for the DOE to tell us, you can go back to work today. We went back to work the week after this EHA. We met, we planned, and that is the result. Our keiki are back at school at Honokahua. Our makua, our kaya ulu is so ikaika that they took on that kuleana and didn't wait for the DOE to tell us, yes, you can go back to school. We are back at Kula. We are huakaing every day. We go to a vahipana of Lahaina every single day so that they can see the importance of this place
3 minutes.
and the various places of Lahaina that give us that mana to holomua.
3 minutes.
So, ke olu olu, could you please tell whoever you need to, we need a Kula Kaiapuni o Lahaina, our own school for our keiki. And mahalo nui for all the kupa of Lahaina, holomua kako. Eo.
Kalamai, o Velo Ko'inoa. My name is Velo Maderas Nari. I am from Lahaina. I've been here, or our family has been here for many generations, to the point where my great-grandfather's Hawaiian name is actually Keka'a. So we have a lot of ties to Lahaina. My entire immediate family lost all of our homes in the fire. But anyways, point being, my husband is not from here. He's from a French island in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The island is probably the same size as Maui, but it looks like Hawaii. And there's 900,000 people that live there. They have every single stream running. And not like Kahoma. Somebody tell me, oh, Kahoma's running. I lived next to it. If that's running water, I don't know what that is. My faucet runs faster than that stream. But every single stream we drove over in his home island was gushing with water. They have cane. That's part of what they do for their agriculture. They have tourism. But they figured out with the French government how to kind of balance it out with 900,000 people. We have like, what they said, 120,000 people that live on Maui. I know we have way more that visit. That's probably who takes all our stuff. But I don't understand why we can't have the same things when we're the second most wettest place in the world. Unless I missed something after all the years. All the years that I haven't been in school, that changed and we're no longer the second wettest place, then I have to go study up. The other part is we're Lahaina. Lahaina, it says Lahaina. Why don't we have things other than electric? Why is electric our main source of, our, what's it called? Hawaiian Electric. Why are they the only source of electricity in Lahaina that we have to focus on trying to bury these wires? You know, the day of the fire made me realize that as much as I thought we were ahead of the game and we have all these wonderful things and we're so advanced, we were stuck with nothing, with crappy poles and crappy wires that fell down every time, like the times before. And now, unfortunately, they're back up again. And now they're going to be buried. Why can't we do solar? We live by the ocean. My husband, same island. They have hydro, where they actually use the water to make electricity, and they desalinize it so that they have fresh water to use from the ocean as well. We're worried about it moving up. Why don't we use some of it? I don't get some of this stuff. I'm sorry. I'm a hula dancer, and I take care of my kids. I'm here because my daughter's in Kaiapuni, and I'm from Lahaina. But a lot of things don't make sense to me why there's so much things that we're being saying no to. The buildings, why when we rebuild, why is it going to take so long for all these permits? What about these permits? All the zoning, why does zoning stay the same? My daughter, we went to San Francisco. She was trying to figure out how nice they build all their stuff. And they kind of build vertical because their land is, limited. And the fact that they have people who have a business and they live above their business. Why can't Lahaina be like that? Why was it restricted that we have to be separated from our businesses because that's what they say? But that's just some food for thought that I've been running in my mind all this time, and I just want to put it out there. But thank you. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Kelly Kiahi. I am a Lahaina resident whose house did burn down. I have been displaced to Wailuku. And since I have been over there, I haven't been back to Lahaina very often, but coming in today, I got here really early and signed up to testify. And one of the things that I saw was just how our island is dying. Everything's dead. It's just dried up. The very essence and the beauty of what this place used to be is no longer. The people are being suffocated out of here. And we can't go back to what was not working before this fire. We cannot. We have to move on. We have to do better and do better for the people. One of the things I would like to really see is accountability of the land and the landowners. And we have to have somebody in place to make sure that there are fines and penalties and repercussions for not taking care of that land. There should be, whether it be goats or sheep or cattle or something up there grazing to keep the grass down. What have we not learned from 2018? And today we lost our town because we did nothing from the 2018 fire. Look where we are now. It's sad, you guys. As far as the town being reconstructed, my family builds. We built our own home in Lahaina. And we had to have a certain standard of way we built our house, which was, historical. And then I see all these homes on Front Street that look like something out of LA, boxed and squared and modern. And I don't get how those guys got away with that. But we had to be held to a certain standard. We got to have standards in the rebuild. And if we're going to be in a historic town, it needs to be historically rebuilt. And there has to be repercussions for people that are breaking that. I'm sorry, but let's all be fair here. As far as Mala Wharf and as far as Lahaina Harbor, we need to make sure that Mala Wharf is for the residents. We can no longer have businesses conducting business out of Mala Wharf. Lahaina Harbor needs to be rebuilt to sustain those businesses as well, and they need to come out of Lahaina Harbor. No more Mala Wharf. It's POW. It shouldn't even be up for discussion in closed doors without the residents there to have a say about it. We fought long and hard for Canoe Beach as far as businesses down there. That's our practice field for the canoes and for the high school and the canoe clubs. And I don't want to see these boat businesses over there trying to have access through Waikuli so they can launch their boats and, conduct their business over here. We're not ready. Lahaina town is not ready for all of this. We're going back to work, but we got to do better this next time around, you guys. Please, accountability and get the roads fixed. We got to have access all the way down and out and not be trapped. I was on the other side of Lahaina Luna, and getting out of town was really hard because the poles were all over the road. We can't have poles next to the road anymore, you guys. Do better.
Jackie Kieft. Aloha mai kako. To heal the sea, we must heal the mountain. Everyone's footprint on the Aina matters. This week, I've met all sorts of experts who are working in their own way towards that exact cause. If we bring them together, we can expedite the regeneration of our Aina. Every regenerative agriculture farmer I've met recognizes the need to heal the soil. I met soil experts whose passion is using microbiology to accelerate Mother Nature's natural processes by 100 times or more. That could be talking about breaking down debris in the zone. They're using science and technology to perform soil restoration. Brew Hut Maui wants to make this program free and accessible so that it's easy for all of us to participate. They're already working with some hotels to help eliminate their use of pesticides. I ran into them outside of here when I got here today. Weston is one of their companies that they're working with. George Purdy, a pioneer in LiDAR technology and creator of the Lanai Dryland Forestation Project, is ready to partner with these farmers and soil experts to significantly speed our recovery by working with technology. Drones with LiDAR technology allow for the detailed mapping of Maui's topography changes over time while letting one person cover much more ground and faster. This is what was expressed to us. That is a huge win and a prayer being answered by the farmers. George has partnered with schools all around Hawaii to teach about LiDAR drones and set up a pilot training program through UH, and his long-term plan is to create a mesh network of drone pilots in Hawaii. These are great jobs for our community. The thing about George's LiDAR mapping that has the regenerative farmers so excited is the fact that he is also a Hawaiian farmer. He understands planting according to the Hawaiian moon calendar and designing contour swells based around changing rain patterns. He grew up on Maui and has watched the effects of desertification get worse with time throughout the county. I think we all understand that we're at a pivotal moment. It is time to stand up and take a hard turn off our current path. We have this chance to truly heal our town. We must grow deeper roots and restore our soil, and those deep roots will help rebuild our water table. We can't grow that ulu if we don't have water. We must still work to fight for water rights, but we must do this in tandem with rebuilding and refilling our water table. It is important that we do this as a community, united. Right now, Maui County just needs to open the door to technology. Under the emergency proclamation, Maui County can say that we need LiDAR to map the topography of Maui as a part of the recovery for land restoration, and it's funded. It's incredibly important that we jump on this opportunity to catch up with the times. We must also remember to stay united as a community and lead with aloha. And then we can talk about the walkable front street that we all want. Thank you.
Aloha, my name is Mike Whitehead. I'm an 84 graduate of Lion Luna. First of all, this could take a little longer than 3 minutes. I think the rules should be changed because what happened to Lahaina was not typical for a community meeting. This is not a typical community meeting. For myself, to get my frustrations and my ideas out in 3 minutes is kind of tough. And I understand we're trying to watch it, but this shouldn't be. Those rules should be changed. 4 minutes, 5 minutes maybe, but even that is too short. First off, the narrative bothers me. This was not a wildfire. This was a planned and choreographed fire of Lahaina town, and our town was burnt. I don't like seeing it or hearing called wildfires. We all know this was planned. At least that's my, and from everybody I've spoken with, believes. Why was there no water in the hydrants? I know people who were in the neighborhood that burnt, watched the hoses go down. We're the firemen who called it in and said there was no water. Second, I'm going to move this along just because I'm trying to be respectful of your rules, even though they should change. Land, we should all be allowed to build back. And those that want to relocate because of the devastation and can't handle it or not, don't want to deal with it, they can relocate. If they sell their land, there should be a moratorium to selling land to outside investors. Only Lahaina people should be able to buy. Get a list of everybody that doesn't own a home in Lahaina. Renters, long-term residents, not the kid on his parents' dime living in Lahaina and buying it through him. It should be residents of Lahaina. You should have a list, and any parcels that come up available should be available for Lahaina residents. That will give us the opportunity. All permits in Lahaina, single-family homes, should be revoked. That is what drove us out. That's what drove us out and drove up the property values. McMansions, I heard in an informational meeting, we're going to be allowed to put back the original home. That should include Front Street. All those McMansions were built in the 90s, and the county government, the county departments, everybody turned a blind eye. They were built within the setbacks. I know because I was in construction back then. I renovated 2 homes on Lahaina Road that were built in the 30s without taking down the roof. They got burnt in a fire too. If we're held accountable for building the original home, no McMansion should be. The original house should be, and if it was within the setback law, that should be allowed. But if not, then it needs to be moved back if they're going to change it. But no more McMansions on Front Street. If you want proof that we're treated differently, like it was said, I was being held to accountable for a National Historic District below the road for my windows. And yet the McMansions were being built because I didn't have a fat envelope of cash to pass under the table. That's the reality. That's the reality of what we live in. The rich take and we don't. You want proof? Who allowed West Maui Land to sell parcels of the mountain? They're carving the mountain. HCNS didn't own the mountain. Nobody owns that. If anything, it's for the Hawaiians. But yet we're carving into the mountains up there and no one's saying nothing. Why? Who allowed, and they just posted the anniversary like they're proud, who allowed the Cliff House to be renovated the way it's been renovated? That's not historical. I watched the roof come down. If the roof came down, there was no building that back because
3
it's
minutes.
on the ocean. I understand it's 3 minutes. I'm still moving along. I'm almost done. Mortgages. Everybody who lost a home. The government should be putting pressure on any bank that has a mortgage in Lahaina and giving at least a year and taking that 12 months and put it on a back end to give these homeowners relief from their loans, not giving them a freebie. They'll pay it, but give them some freedom because they need help. We all need help. Get the list of renters. I talked about that. Sorry, I'm just losing track. Kind of just got a wave of emotions that come up. We need to build the toxic land. The narrative is the land is toxic. It's not inhabitable. That should be the choice for all of us to make. Some won't, and they will go with it. But when I was in the zone 1 that was cleared, and it's like everybody telling me about 10 years, this could affect you. And it could. But like I said, I worked in these old plantation homes. I renovated 2 of them, which is a simple painter's mask. That was 20 years ago. I'm still here, no signs of cancer. Everybody's different. Everybody should have the freedom of choice to go back to their land and build. The opening. It's going to be tough. We're focusing on October 8th. But you know what? It's going to be tougher for everybody because maybe some of us are dealing with it and deal with it better, but that there's a lot that I've seen that are freaking out in our community and still can't handle it and still can't deal with what happened to our town. It's only going to get worse. We got Halloween right after that. Thanksgiving rolls along into it, and then we're already going to see Christmas decorations. How do you think we're all going to feel? Should we open? I don't think so. I don't think so. But we need relief given. People who have loans, people who aren't fortunate to work. I am fortunate. I have been working. I'm still paying my bills. But we need help, and we need you guys to be different from what we know of our county government, the state government, and our former Maui County Council. Of all those years, we watched them give away Lahaina because they don't really care for us. Thank you for your time. Sorry I went over.
My name is Art Ford, and I've been a resident here on Maui for 23 years. I've been coming to Maui since 1969. My firstborn son was born here in 1973. I honeymooned here with my wife in 1970. And the one thing I want to preface this with is how I'd like to apologize to all of you that for your losses in Lahaina. You know, I feel a certain responsibility because I think many of us saw this coming. You know, over the years, the fires and the winds that blow here, and you know, I sat on my hands and didn't. It's always, let's let somebody else do it. You know, the government will take care of that. Well, it didn't happen, and we need to be a collective voice in moving forward with rebuilding Lahaina. One of the things that I've seen in my many years that I've visited and lived here is I've seen with over-tourism that locals have been pushed out. It's been a slow erosion of this progress. An example of that is the golf courses down in McKenna. You know, at one time we had 2 courses down there. We were welcomed as Kama'aina. And now it's a gated community. We're not welcome. $3 million to buy a lot down there. I've seen this over and over. Unfortunately, though, I will share something with you. Corporate America owns West Maui. They own West Maui. We talk about the economy, getting back to work and low-paying jobs. There's very few of us that own businesses here in West Maui. This is an example here, all these hotels. But I'm not going to talk about the past, though. I'd like to move forward, and I want to give some constructive issues that we can move forward with. Again, I came to Hawaii in 1968 thanks to the U.S. Navy. We have faced an onslaught of over-tourism and big-moneyed investors buying up our properties, helping to contribute to a huge housing shortage for locals. I just read an article today that said that there are more Hawaiians today living on the mainland than there are living here in Hawaii. There's something wrong with that picture, something wrong with that scenario. I'd like to propose a few changes, and some of it is going to be redundant. I know we've already talked about it before, but I'd like to plan a future here in Hawaii where locals can once again experience a gathering place, including, I won't see it myself in my lifetime, but my grandkids will, and I hope this will be a gathering place for them to come to in the future. The changes I'd like to see, number one, is the utilities underground. That is a long overdue and it's redundant. Remove Front Street. Our greatest enjoyment here has come from the times when Front Street was closed. Let us make this a walkable, attractive green belt. Relocate the school and make a nice park where we can all enjoy it without the congestion. Extend the bypass now. Extend the bypass. That's a gauntlet down there. It's scary to come down the Kiawe Street. It was poorly planned. Another suggestion is remove the tracks of the old sugarcane train and let's create a bike lane and a walkway. And last, but probably just as important, I think all the workers here in West Maui need to have better pay so we don't have to subsidize. We're not having to subsidize your housing. Thank you very much. Aloha to all of you.
Thank you.
Hey, good morning. My name is Kekoa, and Maui resident for over 42 years. I just want to say aloha to the brothers and sisters. Like I said, the ohana from Lahaina. One thing right now I'm feeling is that I will never forget August 8th, and I know what I was doing, but when I don't forget that, what happened, I was in Kihei, when, that reminds me of the anger I feel today, every day, but we're still moving on. So I just wanted to make sure that we never forget what happened. And hopefully I'm using that to motivate myself to stay on top of what we're doing. And I appreciate the community of Lahaina. Like I said, I've been here over 42 years, and I've enjoyed Lahaina. I'm a musician. I've enjoyed all of that, and I just want to give the people of Lahaina my condolences, care about you guys. I came to just share my manao. So I'm going to start doing that. A lot of people said what I was thinking about. But, you know, just some simple things that we can, there's so many things. I just want to say a few things that we can wrap our minds around it. I feel like this generation is awesome. You guys are awesome as you take on these problems. My generation, they kind of moved on already. But you guys are carrying the torch. So I cheer you guys on. My Lord, to you guys with that. So one of the things bothered me was, oh, wow, the utility poles fell down. And it really, a friend of mine was showing me a video. He was trying to get out of Lahaina, and the poles were falling down. They couldn't get out. So the way my mind thinks is like, okay, man, those utility poles, we got to ban them or get rid of them. And so I'm glad to hear that there are concrete movement in that direction. So awesome. Thank you for that. There's other concrete ideas that I think we can come up with. And so I'm starting to hear the ideas, but one of the concerns for me, water. So right now, I live in Kula. If I get caught watering my garden, trying to feed myself, I get on $500 fine. I think that's the situation right now. My son was telling me, so I got to take his word. But that doesn't seem right, because I live in part-time. I live in Kihei, North Kihei, and every once in a while to escape, I got to go out McKenna, La Perouse way. When I go that way, I see all these beautiful, lush, rich homes, condominiums, and buildings. Hey, I don't see no dry grass. So I wonder about the water situation. Is it fair? How can a few people, gain from the water? Do we, that's the whole thing. So me as a private person, trying to water my gardens. Nope.
Aloha, my name is Brandon Keonikaina Jr., born and raised here in Lahaina. Council members, thank you for taking the time to hearing the people of Lahaina. I hope you take all testimonies from today into consideration when making decisions for rebuilding our community. I ask that our leaders be as transparent as possible and provide us all the information that we need to give us comfort and peace of mind. I am hoping that we are able to have permits approved quickly to allow Lahaina families to rebuild their homes and local businesses. Replace those luxury homes, Airbnbs, with local businesses, especially the businesses that have been around for generations. If possible, please allow for free classes and trainings for the people to be qualified and licensed if they want to participate in clearing out the debris within properties. We don't want to see mainland companies coming in when we can employ our people and give them this work opportunity. Many of our family, friends, and neighbors are skilled craftsmen, engineers, and builders who are knowledgeable and experienced. So many people are hurting, and I think this will help some to heal their wounds by being able to physically be part of the rebuild of Lahaina. Families have worked so hard to build from the ground over the years, and I'm here today because I'm so worried for my kids' future. They won't be able to know the Lahaina I knew, but we can at least fight for them to have something similar. But if you don't involve us, the people of Lahaina, we won't have that. Involving the local residents in rebuilding of our town will ensure that the process is rooted in community values, needs, and hope. It will promote a stronger sense of belonging, economic growth, and in the long run, creating a more vibrant, resilient, and sustainable community. We hear rumors of plans, but we don't really know what's coming or what's factual. Please keep us informed. Continue to ask us for input. Don't ignore us or leave us in the dark. We are a town that has so much pride, and that will never change. We are Lahaina.
Aloha mai kako, council members. Mahalo nui for coming to Lahaina. My name is Tiade Lawrence. I come from 7+ generations of Lahaina, a graduate of Lahaina Luna High School. Several of my family members, including my 81-year-old Tutu, lost their home. And I now fortunately have the kuleana to house my family in Pukalani. The recovery and resilience of Lahaina must be centered around adopting traditional and cultural knowledge. With that being said, the restoration of Moku'ula and Kamalu'ulu'olele must be at the forefront. The green belt and food forest that once protected Lahaina must be restored, and the springs of Moku'ula set free, so the mana of Kihawahine can flourish and protect Lele once again. I testified in front of this council several times against unfettered, irresponsible development projects that include Makila Rural Town, Polanui Gardens, Makila Kai, Oluwalu Mauka, Oluwalu Makai, Oluwalu Town. My main argument then was the lack of water resources, building in an area that is historically known for massive fires, and that these lands should be utilized for agriculture over gentlemen estates and luxury swimming pools. Thank God the community fought against these PLL projects. Otherwise, you would have had not one, but 3 towns perish in the August 8 fire. As we move into uncharted waters, the council should implement the following. Build true workforce housing on public, not private land, with priority to multi-generational families. End short-term rentals in Lahaina, Pau, Lava. No more businesses, Makaya Front Street. Restore the beach on Front Street. Make pre-approved building plans to help streamline the permitting process. Add more staff positions at the planning department with specific focus to Lahaina. Implement community planning for coastal areas regarding sea level rise. Pass legislation that requires large landowners to do fire abatement. I would even go as far as creating a different tax rate for lands that are deserted, unproductive, to incentivize these landowners to do agriculture activities that shall include farming, rotational grazing, plant nursery, to bury the electrical in and around Lahaina town. No rezoning of land without community input. Build out a wastewater treatment facility in Lahaina that will allow the use of our own water to help restore local agriculture. Regenerative tourism. Work with the state DOE to relocate Kamehameha III School to a permanent location in Upper West Maui. Purchase the school campus for County Park. Request DLNR and DOBOR to have next week's October 3rd meeting in Lahaina and not on Zoom. I'm asking the council members to please send an email to Don Chang and Megan Statz and Ed Underwood. You know, this has been such an emotional time. And I know a lot of us, I keep thinking that I ran out of tears. It just keeps coming, but I'm asking the council to do whatever it takes to keep Lahaina in Lahaina. I know for myself, I live in Pukalani because I couldn't afford to live at home. And I would love so much to be able to move back home one day. And I know a lot of my family feel the same sentiment. So I'm asking you guys to stand behind the people, the multi-generational families, most importantly. In closing, I want to mahalo Tamara Pautin, our West Maui council member. She has worked tirelessly with such grace, empathy, compassion, love, and aloha for Lahaina. I humbly ask the council to support our council member because I truly believe she is the voice of the people. Lahaina is not for sale. Keep Lahaina lands in Lahaina hands. Aloha.
My name is Katie Austin. Thank you all for listening to the people. It is going to tie into what I'm saying. An uncle in this room installed in me forever the need to listen. If you're not from here, listen. If you don't know about the subject, listen. Keep listening to the kupuna, the people of this land, listen. I'm speaking out now because I feel the government hasn't been listening for years. The struggle for so many things have been ongoing for generations for families in this room, and the people in power have not been following through with that basic teaching to listen. Tourism for so many years took precedent over listening to the people. My first thing is water rights. No private entity should own our water, point blank. I don't know why this is still a question. No privatization of water rights whatsoever. Give the water back. Streams should flow. Restoration of Malu'ulu'olele. Native plants like ulu should be at the forefront. Hold West Maui Land Company and Peter Martin accountable. Literally, like, their negligent actions for years, and take a stand against it. It has gotten us to where we are now, and you all, especially everybody in this room, have the chance to make a change. We don't have to keep doing the same thing over and over again. Prioritize the people over tourism. Hurry to rebuild should really be focusing on the homelands. Get our community back on their lands while the restructure of Front Street and businesses can happen later. We need regulations in place now that will deter offshore buyers. One way to do that is ban the transient vacation rentals now within homes in our community so that these vultures aren't circling. I also agree with the historic building guides, not to control how locals will rebuild their homes, but to make sure we don't have these monstrosities popping up and that Greg Brown's can't pop up in the middle of Lahaina. Also, Lahaina Harbor needs to be rebuilt as the only source of commercial activity on the west side. Mala Wharf needs to be reopened how it was intended years ago as a community boat ramp. There will be no commercialization whatsoever out of Mala Wharf. I personally picture a town of abundance, not by wealth or tourism, but by the Aina and the Vai, which has been portrayed to me through years of stories of past generations. Not what we saw as our town just before the fire, dry, barren, crispy, and used by tourism. We can bring it back to how it should be, but everybody, the government needs to just listen. Thank you. Mahalo.
Ms. Lawrence Cabanilla.
Thank you for letting me speak, but I resided in Lahaina for the past almost 80 years. I was born and raised in Lahaina and grew up and made a family, and I'm a sixth generation. And just by hearing the person before me, I think most of the people in this room have more than what, I can say, but I can share that during my time, I've seen the growth of the economic engine as agriculture to tourism. And we suffered through those days, but, we survived. And the only thing that I can kind of come up and talk about is the multicultural that we have in Lahaina, that I've experienced through the years. The Filipino group, the Japanese group, the Chinese group, the Hawaiian group, and whatever we have. And we've shared this throughout the years that I grew up, and that was the most happiest time in my life. And I also try to teach the children and share with my friends and family that, by sharing this kind of events in life, like gatherings, getting together, spending time, grumbling, being happy, hash out what you have to hash out. And at the end of the day, you can smile. So even if there was a very bad disaster in Lahaina, I still can smile, because of these kind of thoughts. And the only way that I know how to bring these things together is to have government be involved and get functions where we can have a Filipino day, a Japanese day, a Hawaiian day, all those kind of things. Gather these minds together and build one mind and one body, and Lahaina will be what it's supposed to be. I saw her. I shake. I love Lahaina. Lahaina is the only place for me. And Lahaina I live in the middle under the blue sky. I live Makai is the ocean, and Mauka is the mountain, and I don't think you can find any other place than that.
3 minutes.
Who makes it all is the people. So thank you again.
Alicia Leopoldino.
Aloha, everybody. I'm not used to doing this kind of thing, but like my dad said, I think what he's trying to emphasize is that the people need to come together as one, no matter what nationality we are or what culture we're from, because that is what made Lahaina what it has been and what it will be again. And I agree, Lahaina is not for sale. Unfortunately, the time that it's taking to get everything in order, and the lack of transparency for the community and the people to know what direction we're headed in with the rebuilding of everything, our homes, our businesses, and where are we headed, really? What's the plan? That a lot of times they'll be frustrated and they'll give up and will eventually be forced to move away for one reason or another. So, that thought that Lahaina isn't for sale, it's in the heart of every person that lives in Lahaina and that has been affected and not been affected. Indirectly, I think everybody has been affected by what happened, and it should not have happened. It totally should not have happened. So we need to come together and rebuild it the way that it should be and the way that it was, so that we can continue with the uniqueness of the people who make Lahaina what it is. Thank you.
My name's Daniel Scows, and I've lived in the Lahaina area since 2009. Previous to that, I was out in Hana. I was teaching out there for a number of years, well, for a handful of years. When I was a kid, I moved here to pick pineapple, and I worked and boarded. I saw this area when it was a lot different than it is now, and it was a lot greener, and there was a lot more vegetation around. So I've seen a little bit of change in my life, not near as much as most of you, but I still have seen a lot of change. And when I was, I have to think back when I was a kid, the world's population was like half of what it is now. And all of us know that change is inevitable. As there becomes more people, there becomes more demand on resources, there becomes more necessity to create more housing, to create more jobs, more opportunity. Where I spent part of my life in Utah, I saw the same things a lot of you are complaining about. I saw the farms disappear. I saw the natural resources disappear. I saw everything getting paved over and developed. That was really hard for me, and that became a place I didn't want to really live. And when I came to Hawaii when I was 15 in '93, and I saw that it was, that country feel what I wanted to be, where I wanted to be, that kind of opportunity, and being in a place that could be what I thought was self-sufficient, which we are not self-sufficient, right? Those, as we know during COVID, stuff falls off the shelf pretty quick when the boats stop coming in. I think that's what a lot of people want. They want to be self-sufficient. They want to be reliant on on the outside, reliant on them like beggars, wanting to be on welfare. There's people that here, they want to work hard. They want the opportunity to create a self-sufficient, society where they can provide for their families. And we need that agriculture back. We need bigger lots where people can have their own self-sufficient farms. We don't need to be jammed in these small little communities. All this land around us, and it's just sitting there vacant, not doing anything. It needs to be opened up where people, especially people that are deeply rooted here that want to work the land, can do it. They want to work. They want to grow things. They need to be able to do that. So it's not too late here. But we're at the valley where, if you ever go to Utah Valley, that whole thing's been just developed out. No more farming. The poor deer and elk come down. There's nowhere to go but in the road to get hit. So it's not too late here. There's still a lot of open land, a lot of opportunity to get agriculture back and to be self-sufficient. When I came when I was staff reduced during the recession, 2009, we had the economy was hit hard, and Hana reduced their staff size. I was brought here to the Lahaina side to teach health and PE. And it was really difficult for me going down Front Street. It was like offensive to me having come from Hana, it was just so different, right? So after a year, I actually went back to Hana, and then I came back to this side, and I've been here since. But it's kind of grown on me. I mean, we do it as a teacher. I don't make that much money. I think I net $3,800 a month after 17 years of teaching. I can't provide. So what do I do to provide for my family? I've got 5 kids, 4 small ones at home. As I clean toilets, I clean vacation rentals. That's become the way I provide for my family. I would like, that's what I've had to do. So about 40% of my necessary income comes from my job, and the rest comes from, and not be a beggar. But I love everybody. I consider everyone my brothers and sisters, and I know that I may not look like some of you, and I may not be, it's deeply rooted, but I believe we're all brothers and sisters. And the prayer at the beginning of this meeting, I think, was beautiful, and it made me, I definitely felt touched by it, and I hope that we can all, in peace, find unity and rebuild in a quickly, timely way. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Juanana Felicilda.
Aloha, all our families from Lahaina. Inua. Inua. I'm not a speaker, but thank you for being here to hear all of us. I am born and raised in Lahaina on Mala Front Street. We've lived there all our lives. We've raised my 7 children in Lahaina. When we grew up, it was an old plantation camp. Fishing and plantation was our living. Our parents, my dad worked at the Pioneer Mill. He lays the water lines in the fields. Coming home, he went fishing. Our whole family in Mala were fishermen, and they were great fishermen. And today, when I look back, it's so sad because we have all these $1 million homes on a front street where we live, where we all grew up. And today, they sell for like $8 to $5 million, which that was our home, our whole street. And our people in Lahaina, we grew up with them. We knew almost everybody in Lahaina. Even the Filipinos that came in, Japanese, we all each had a camp. We were Mala camp. We had Kiavi camp. We had Japanese camp, and a Filipino camp. They were all our people. And the ocean was always open to all of us. We would all walk from Mala, we'd walk to Kanapali, where we swam until late evenings. We went to the beaches, pick up our limo, fish, everything. And as the years went by, everything just boomed. It wasn't Lahaina anymore. We couldn't walk to Front Street because we didn't know a lot of the people. And if we passed by, we saw somebody, we toot the horn and wave at them because we knew them. And what has happened today, it's sad. We've lost everything. Even our friends who passed, we've lost every one of them. And I feel that the minutes that we get is too short. There's so much our people want to express, but we are timed, and it's sad. I look at all my cousins and my children, my great-grandchildren who lived with me. They lost everything in that fire. So who's responsible for that fire? Who's responsible? This has been going on for many years.
3 minutes.
I know. I mean, even the 2018, same thing. People lost homes, but this is worse. We lost the whole Lahaina, place we grew up, people we went to school with. It's so hard to keep on expressing, but there has to be something done. Our water system, there's nothing in the rivers. We used to swim in the rivers. There's nothing today. And, there's no, what more, And besides all this, there's things that have to be done for us. We all want to be in Lahaina. There's too much tourism for all of us. We have to think about
4
our
minutes.
people. Our people is most important. And I thank you. And I also want to thank you with all this devastation. My husband couldn't take it. He wanted to come to Lahaina and see when our house was gone. Everything he worked for is lost. And a week later, he passed away. It's heartbreaking for him because he raised all of his children and we all raised there. He couldn't take it. He wanted to see Lahaina and we didn't want him to come to see how our place was because we live right alongside the highway. So he saw it,
And now I have to prepare a funeral for him because he couldn't take it, what happened to our home, our
5
children,
minutes.
and our great-grandchildren. But we wish you would do a lot more than just listen, but talk for us. Back up our Lahaina people. Infrastructure, water, building, they should stop building because there's no more water for all of us. But that's all please listen to us.
Mai ka pina akala I kumukahi e kona velo nei ka mole olu o le hua. Mai ka nu o mauna ka halavai no na ka malu malama ia nei ke ia halavai. Ai ka moana hohonu o kana loa hona vela. Ano ai ke aloha nui a ka kua pauloa aloha. O Henrietta Moana, Secretary o Ku'umakuahine, o Richard Masahiko Grotman Ku'umakuakane, a o au o Keli Kawawa nui ka lau koa Masao Grotman. Wa malama nui I au I kohala I no nae he kamau na kamalala walu, a he lala no lahaina no ka ohana secretarial, no ka ohana Kalaukoa. I am Kelly Grothman, a descendant of Abraham Kalaukoa, a Hawaiian legislator at the time of the rightful government, the Hawaiian Kingdom. Whose granddaughter, my great-grandmother, Margaret Kalaukoa, is buried in Maria Lanakila with my auntie Joanna Pua Secretarial. I'm a Hawaiian language hula and culture teacher in Japan. I see firsthand how our culture is prostituted by the tourism authorities who practically beg the Japanese to come and spend their dollars here. I have to kill two birds with one stone in Japan. I teach the Japanese about the true Hawaii in hopes that they know better about who we are, as well as being able to generate my own income so that I don't depend on the landowners in this neo-feudalistic system. We cannot afford the land, so now we are subjected to the whims of those that do. We need to put more focus on the native Hawaiian community and other local communities in general and ground it in Hawaiian values. I would like to, many people had many of the points I'm going to say. I would like to see more funding into our Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian language programs at the public school as well as our immersion school. Establish that pre-K to high school kula kayapuni. Create more spaces for our ohana to gather, as it was hapai earlier, so we can picnic, transmit our knowledge within central Lahaina, rebuild moku'ula, mokuhini, and return the waters. We've been asking for that for generations now. Yeah. Allow us access to beaches without having to pay for parking because the free parking beach spaces is nele. It's not enough. Look down the road, 30 spaces, but we got to pay for parking. Make affordable housing so that our families, even me, have a chance to return to Lahaina, or have a home without needing to work 2 jobs or sell our souls to the modern plantations, aka the hotel industry. Yeah. The American way is to solve problems now so that we can live in comfort. But the Hawaiian way is to solve problems now so that all our descendants can live comfortably. Because ultimately, our decisions will affect our descendants. And I always say, be a good kupuna. The fire was a freak event, but the wind was not. That was the Kaua'ula wind that comes once every generations. My grandmother told me about that wind and how it burned. It came through
3
when
minutes.
Keopuolani mahalo, Keopuolani came, and devastation is always left in its wake. The difference is there was water then, but not now. It's great to hear about the lions being buried, but we have to ensure that when the wind comes the next few generations, there is water ready because Lahaina will never fade. Pio ole kamakani Kaua'ula. No laila e nā luna ho'olohe mai, e ho'olopona I nā olelo a mako e haiakune ia o kou. No ka mea, o mako a pauloa ko Lahaina. A no mako wale no ka pono o ke kohana I ke ala e ola e kātou. We are Lahaina, and it should be only our right to choose what Lahaina should be. Ua pau, mahalo. Ua pau o Lahaina I ke ahi, aiola mau no kona mau pua. Lahaina was destroyed by the fire, but its descendants shall live on forever. Aloha no.
Jeremy Delos Reyes.
Yeah, I have a lot to say, and 3 minutes ain't gonna cover it. But I hope Auntie's testimony and hit you guys. So I'm gonna point out some bad things first. As we started off, there was a comment made by Chair Alice Lee that why does Hawaiians not value education? I don't care what you say about not being inflammatory. The fact that you think that way and you ask that question is inflammatory to everybody, not just Hawaiians. Okay? So I pointed that out. I call it out. 1, 2, 3. You three guys. Historically, you guys have voted for pro-development in West Maui. You guys have always voted that way, right? Look at what happened. I gotta live in one house I gotta keep rent down so locals can afford for my rental unit. I can charge all the money I like, but I keep locals in Lahaina. So I gotta do that. The next 2 council members, Nohe and who's that, Cook. We're watching you guys. We're gonna watch how you vote. Your dad, Bruce, the union leader. We kind of see how we're voting. I hope you're gonna vote the right way. I hope you keep all these ohanas and give them availability. I'm kind of angry, gang, so I'm sorry.
That's okay.
First thing.
But if you could just keep
First
it on
thing,
subject,
we
that'd
gonna
be great.
For the future, we're moving forward. Eliminate all short-term rentals. Eliminate all of them. I don't care where. Yeah? You guys like short-term rentals. Put them in your neighborhoods. Put them in your district you guys represent. Put them all next door to you. Because I got to come home to tourists yelling, woohoo, spring break, right next door to my house. When you guys approve this legislation in Maui County, I hope you guys take the responsibility for the hostility that these tourists going to come into. I hope you accept that responsibility, right? Because if I got to assault one tourist because they running around pissing in my yard because they too drunk to go back to their rental, I'm going to knock them out. So I hope you guys take that responsibility when you guys pass this type of legislation, allowing these short-term rentals, allowing tourists to be in our neighborhoods. I hope you guys take that responsibility. Before we start rebuilding, how about you guys meet benchmarks? The county, the state. Animal housing. Every day I wonder if the Red Cross can kick me out. I did everything. I followed FEMA, I followed Red Cross. I still have no housing. I don't know where I'm going. There is no rentals that I can afford. I got to pay my mortgage. I got to pay a rental that's doubled in the last 3 weeks. Now, for your guys' information, my second mortgage, the bank just called my loan. So I got to come up with that money in addition to. How am I going to pay that off? So we're talking about land grab, gang. The banks is forcing this
3
land
minutes.
grab. I don't care about 3 minutes. Everybody's worried about their kids going back to schools in West Maui, where the state cannot even clear the fire hazards that's existing right now. By the way, so you guys know, been an educator, I'm still an educator at Lahaina Luna High School for 22 years. There is no evacuation plan for the schools. Zero. Rushing to put kids back into school where they belong, where they need. But you guys cannot even plan fire mitigation on state land. DOE and state own that. And so we're putting our kids right back into this hazard without a fire exit. Put inspectors back in, right? Why right now? It's complaint-based for neighborhoods. I beg you guys, please, drive up to Upper Lahaina Luna. My truck cannot fit in these neighborhoods. How you going to get a fire truck in there? How you going to get an ambulance in there? Why are they allowed to build with so much families inside?
4 minutes.
Because there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. You guys heard Auntie get their grandkids living with them because there's nowhere to go. But yet you guys passed, what is it? You guys passed developments for the rich. For these tourists that came in, day 2 after the fire, these tourists told me at Kaanapali Royal, the owners, you don't belong here. You're not welcome here. I don't care your house ain't burned down. These are the owners of Kaanapali Royal telling me this. Yeah, so if you guys like go talk story with them, talk story with them. That's the owners. Yeah, there's many stories that way.
I'm gonna ask you to wrap it up some, okay? And if you want to, you
How
can
about we
always
have
email
water
us
for
the
the community?
testimony.
We need water. The water for the community comes first. Like you guys know that Grand Wailea, 700 million gallons for their pool comes from the West Maui aquifer. All the developments in South Maui comes from West Maui. But we no can water our yard. We cannot wash our car because we on restriction. Yet, Honolulu Ridge, Kaanapali Hillside, Kahana Ridge, Laniopoko, Oluwalu, all get nice pools and water. Green yards. Why is that? Tie that system back in. Tax the out-of-state residents. Tax the homeowners. give exemptions to multi-generational families, but tax the crap out of them. Make them pay. The Westin Hotels, Starwood Hotels, make it a mandate that 50% of their profits stays on Maui, not goes to corporations.
Chair,
All lines.
I have a
Another
question.
all lines going to be dug and buried. But there was a community member, a government official that said, and I quote, "The cost for that is astronomical." You guys lose one life, that's astronomical.
Sir.
What I saw, the lives that I saw, you guys lost over 300 lives.
Okay, wait.
What is the price at that point?
Sir, we have a question for you.
Can I have a question?
Can you
Yo,
wait for a second? And then we're gonna have to move on after her question, okay? But
I get one
I'm
more
happy.
thing for state.
Michael,
All
okay.
meetings should be held in West Maui, no matter what. You guys should be here. Oh, at least once a month. Yeah. Hey, Pasha, Dave, I'd like you guys have your guys' district meetings in your area.
Okay.
Give all the people. Look how much people here. I love you guys. Be here.
Okay.
Your question, go ahead.
No. Member Rollins Fernandez has a question for you, and then we're gonna call the next testifier. Oh, wait, and then Member Paulton has a question for you, and then we're gonna call the next
Roger
testifier.
that.
Okay, go.
Mahalo, Chair. To abide by sunshine law, I was just going to ask you what the remainder of your testimony was going to be, because, we're held by laws and rules.
I'm always all up here.
It's okay. You finished before I could ask my question to complete your mana'o with us. But I do have a question, two questions. It's not clarifying, sorry, Chair. One, you mentioned burying the lions. And I think that I was wondering if you think that that is too little that you're asking for, that perhaps the community should own the energy here and have a co-op and control its own microgrids.
So the microgrid.
And then
Oh, sorry,
the
go
second
ahead.
question is I've heard people say multiple times now that there's not enough water, but I understand that there's an abundance of water. And rather than there's not enough water, is it perhaps your understanding that it's about how the water is currently distributed? That is. Mahalo.
So first question, Paul, yes. Every home, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, County Council, but every home, like let's take Waikuli, for example. Every home gets a battery, solar panels on their roof. They become their own independent battery, right? Which can power them. I think if Waikuli neighborhood alone could power ourselves for like 9 months without any kind of infrastructure from Miko or Hiko. As far as the water question, there is an abundance of water. There's also wasting water. So since West Maui Land Company built Laniopoko, the increase of water banks or reservoirs throughout West Maui has increased, I think, 400% because they're wasting water. And I don't know if you guys remember, Laniopoko, above Laniopoko Beach Park, had a huge water cannon just so that they could show use. That's all it was for. So is there enough water? That's a dangerous question because we already hit salinity levels that's not appropriate. So meaning we have already exceeding our holding capacity for West Maui. So there should be no developments except for housing for all of us. There should be no luxury developments anymore. Gentlemen estates.
Mahalo
Sorry.
for answering
Thank
my
you.
question. So it's not about the amount of water, it's how water is used, and it's not about the amount of housing, it's how housing units have been used.
Yes.
Mahalo.
I have to think about that. Sorry.
Thank you, Mr. De Los Reyes, for your testimony. My clarifying question was when you mentioned about the no evacuation route for our schools up Lahaina Luna Road, like if there were a fire to start at Kuialua or Kuialua and Lahaina Luna Road, the entrance to the Princess Nahiana and a subdivision, were you planning on testifying at the House meeting in Kapalua tomorrow at 1000 Kapalua Drive off Office Road, Harvest Chapel, Umulan? Because I'm concerned about sending my kids to those schools with no evacuation route if a fire should start near Nahiana in a subdivision, how all of our public school children would be allowed to evacuate with no buses. Harvest Chapel, Kumulani, 9 o'clock.
You can answer that.
I wasn't aware of that meeting. As everybody knows, that the communication in West Maui is sporadic at best. So I wasn't told about that meeting. I don't have the luxury and the time. I'm not saying anybody else. I'm not throwing anybody else under the bus. But me personally, I don't have the luxury and time to be on internet or social media all day long. As you know, tomorrow, Councilmember Paulton, that a lot of us is just we trying to help out our community. So I will be there if I can, unless I gotta go work. But I'm almost 6 days. If I commend you guys for being here, and I thank you guys for being here. If you guys can be here more often, as you can tell, we're gonna be here because this is our home. Yeah, Lahaina Luna is Lahaina.
By Naivi Teruya.
Aloha, council members, and aloha, Lahaina. Before I start stating my opinions on the rebuilding process, I just want to say that we are not ready for the tourists to come back right now. Josh Crane, that's a bad call. He's a medical doctor, actually. He is not a psychologist. And that's what we're doing right now, the trauma. There's stages in trauma. The keiki are still going to the first stage. I'm still going to the first stage. The kupuna, they might not even recover from the trauma because we don't have more time. We get choke time for certain things and little time for the really important things. And trauma is huge. Mental health, that's important. I learned that being an adult, you gotta take care of your mind. You have to. And you're gonna spit the tourists in front of us before the keiki go back to the school is really, really demoralizing. And that's why we're angry. A lot of guys said a lot of important things that I wanted to mention today, like the restoration of Moku'ula, the resurrection of Mokuhinia. And I say resurrection because when you add the water into the land, the life comes back. Why? Imagine one day the keiki don't have to fish out of this moldy fountain water. They can go fish out of Mokuhinia. Imagine that. Just for thought. And absolutely, all the Makai businesses around Front Street, some of us feel connected to it. A lot of us don't really know. The feeling's kind of mush, but should not allow that to be back. We should have bike lanes. I'm tired of almost trying to kill somebody by accident, but just by driving down Front Street. That's safety. This is the number one topic is safety. Because we were not safe during this. And we did not feel like anybody had our backs. We did the hubs up at Princess Nahiana in the parking lot as long as we could. Then the DOE said 1 week after, you guys gotta go. And we're like, well, what about the people that live up there still? Who's taking care of them? And then weeks later, mayor comes in. Too late. We did it already. But you see that we feel abandoned. You don't feel safe. And I'll get the voting table out there for vote, for register to vote. I don't know if I want to vote for anybody. But I just want to say there's a big diverse community in Lahaina. We all know that. The culture needs to be the center. And then everyone else can just be with us together. Because people are talking about the Pico, they're talking about the circle of life and the connection from the mountain to the sea.
3 minutes.
We're in this together. And individuals like myself, all we have is time. So we're going to make sure that this is done right. Because we can't be stewards of this land if there's no water. Aloha, mahalo.
Good morning, neighbors. My name's Amber Diamond. A business owner, and I lived on Front Street. I employed just under 20 employees here. We all evacuated safely, including my neighbor and his little brother.
Can you
that
please
swam.
face the mic, because then we can't hear you and it's also being recorded, so then everybody else can't hear you too. Thank you.
Just under 20 of us evacuated from my
property, including the neighbor and his brother who swam to safety. We're really passionate about everything that's going on, and I'm a little nervous and I'm a little frustrated. So I'm going to get through this, but it's not in any specific order. It's been very hard for us to chase around Red Cross, SRT, SBA, and our resources because it continuously changes. We need some sort of system where everybody is talking to each other so that everybody can get the resources that they need in one area and not have to chase everything around. We need accountability for the land negligence, for people who were not taking care of their land, that are landowners here, whether it's public or private. And that includes, not limited to, the previous cleanups that we've needed to have over in Kaho'olawe after World War II. That is still not cleaned up, but somehow paid for. We need to move the elementary down from Front Street. The parents don't need to battle for a parking spot to pick up their keiki. Speaking more about the evacuation, it's not just where we were shuffled into a death trap behind the Civic Center with only one way in and one way out towards the fire. There was no second entrance there. There's no second entrance at the new high school in Kihei. There's no second entrance at the sports complex on the Y side. These are death traps. And having our keiki go back to these death traps is gross negligence on all of our behalf, parents and neighbors alike. I need a daily state address from our mayor. I don't know how you guys feel about this, but this all happened on 8/08. To me, this was a terrorist attack, and the president shows up to every world disaster within days. But why did it take Biden 2 weeks to show up over here? Why was Starbucks pulled out 2 days before? Why is there not a difference in all of our electricity bills on the south side if those windmills were going Mach 100 that day? I drove by the substations and they did not pop. Where's all the power going for those windmills?
3
when
minutes.
half of the island wasn't using power that day? I'm going to close in this. Y'all are moving at the speed of the internet, and we are moving at the speed of life. We have multicultural families on the island, and when we rebuild the Lahaina, I need the signs to begin in Olelo. English can be second. The signs need to be in Hawaiian. We need unemployment to kick in, whether you lost your job from the fire, whether you lost your job after the fire, or whether you are on a furlough. Unemployment, everybody who was employed on Maui, that needs to kick in now. I would like to restore Lele. I would like Alanui Moi to become the new Front Street.
My name is Michelle Lincoln, and I appreciate all the testimony here, and I wish I could stay all day but have responsibilities elsewhere. I just want to appreciate what Uncle said earlier. When people ask me why I insist on living in Lahaina, I said, because it's a snapshot of what heaven's going to look like with all the different cultures and people together and how we live together in harmony. That's a beautiful thing, and that doesn't happen in a lot of places. So I'd like to stay if possible. I'm speaking for myself as someone who lost my home, my neighborhood of 40 years, and 2 long-term rental dwellings that were a major source of income for our family. We want to rebuild as owner builders, and we have a crew and tools to start right now. What's stopping us is the roadblock and government bureaucracy. If people want assistance, they can wait for reentry, but as long as the neighborhood has been inspected by the EPA, then access could be immediate to enter at our own risk. You can still give us passes and protective clothing. You can still have guards and police stations strategically throughout the community. But at the rate we're going, 2 years to start rebuilding doesn't pencil out. At the informational meeting on Friday night, the Red Cross Housing Assistance said they can last up to 18 months. Insured housing allowances are 24 months, but for most policy amounts, that's not long enough to last the 2-year allowance. Insured rental properties cover 12 months of lost revenue. That means in 10 months, before we go to the stipends run out for that. This means we need to start building now, which translates the United States Army Corps of Engineers cleanup of debris and final EPA clearance needs to be complete by February 8, 2024. Not longer than 6 months from the start to the finish, we get federal funding. So it needs to be done within a timely manner. Hire local, inter-island, and continental U.S. debris removal crews and equipment to accomplish that goal. And while the cleanup takes place, assist the build back of Lahaina so each zone can begin construction as it's cleared of debris and deemed free of toxin. This enables the building process to start sooner than 4 months from now. Continue using conveniently located venues like this or at the Civic Center and locations in Kahului, whatever it takes, that these locations make available draftsmen with county code knowledge at fair market fees to draw up plans. Make available engineers and architects to stamp and submit those draft plans for immediate permit approval at fair market fees. Insurance covers costs or FEMA for the uninsured. Hire retired or off-island draftsmen, architects, engineers to expedite this part of the process. Provide housing for them like you did for FEMA and National Guard personnel. The same goes for inspectors. Hire qualified individuals for a temporary assignment to rebuild Lahaina quickly and safely. Have inspectors for each zone assigned to a certain number of dwellings and businesses. This may need to be 40 to 50 inspectors, which would include electrical and plumbing inspectors as well. Builders could submit requests for inspections 24 hours in advance, and it gets done within 48 hours. Houses and businesses in the SMA
3 minutes.
would still have the scrutiny required by law, but expedite plans and approvals of other agencies. Follow the community plan. A single-story, 1,200 square foot home would take approximately 3 months to build, but that crew, once they get it framed, can start going on to the next home, creating a snowball effect. The Maui Planning Department would take care of business as usual for the rest of the island, but a special team would take charge of the rebuilding of Lahaina, solicit more federal funds for the uninsured and underinsured, and provide qualified draftsmen, architects, inspectors at a reasonable rate to get the job done quickly and safely.
You mentioned that at the rate things are going, it doesn't pencil out. So, and you mentioned examples of, expediting the permitting process and so forth. But another challenge that we have is a lot of the transmission lines have been broken, so that part of the infrastructure needs to be redone in sewer and water. But
So can I answer?
Sure.
How, from our perspective? So in the time that it would take you to be working on the infrastructure, we could be building houses. We plan on, I lived in a 1932 cane house that was from lumber from the Olowalu sugar mill, repurposed from that. And we plan on building post and pier with tin roofs. I mean, we like the old cane house. We're going to do that again. So if we can do that we would have our primary residence. They changed the law in 2019, which allows our size lots in Lahaina to have 2 smaller accessory dwellings. We have the rental property across the street that would have a single family dwelling plus 2 accessory dwellings. So we could have 6 rentals by the time you guys get our houses get done, you'll have the infrastructure done. We don't have to wait for the infrastructure. When you have the inspectors come, and that's why you have them on hand, when you're laying out the strings for where your property is, if they go, hey, you're a foot too close to the property line, they can move it over. That's why you have inspectors as part of the process. We're skipping the cumbersome thing, but we can be getting our whole house built, and then you can hook up the utilities as it comes ready. So.
Thank you.
And just looking at the big, I don't know what order you're going in, but we're in section 9D. And so, for example, you went through section whatever the other day and let people in. But we know people on that street. So if they're done and they sign off and they can have the debris removal, we could be building their houses even before our house gets built. But we need to do it as time goes. You can't wait until everything's cleaned up to get it done. We can start right now and then hook up to the utility.
Thank you. My name is Ahmed Morsi. All my friends call me Adam. My Hawaiian name is Ke'ola Mauloa. One of the themes that I think keep arising today without being mentioned is we're all tired of living as second-class citizens. All of us, we're all done and tired of being second-class citizens. We're all fed up and tired of the planning and zoning department's blatant discrimination against second-class citizens. Me personally, and a friend of mine purchased a 2.5 acre of ag land in the Pu'uno'a district off of Hokiokio. I own 1/4 acre of that land. It's agricultural land. And because of the zoning and the ridiculousness of what's going on, I was forced to put a tiny home on a trailer so I can live there with my family because that's all I can afford. I'm being reasonable and I'm being realistic with my financial situation. Because of the hocus pocus that goes around, people in that neighborhood have these McMansions, as my brother was mentioning, on agricultural land, and they have 1 or 2 plumeria trees, and they get away with doing whatever they want to do. On 2.5 acres of land, agricultural land, we can put multiple units to house multiple families and be able to farm to have people eat off of that land. This isn't some kind of rocket science or math, really. I don't understand how these people can live in these McMansions and get away with all of the stuff that they're getting away with. Meanwhile, if we wanted to just put a little small thing, we're getting pushback, I'm getting sued, I'm being served by the community, your neighbors up in Pu'uno'a. We're trying to create housing for everyone, but your neighbors up in Hokiokio and Pu'uno'a don't want that. They don't want to see you down there because it gets in the way of their view. Today, they have no coffee shops to go to Lahaina. Today, they're perched on top of a disaster zone. We are living in a disaster zone. We have an immediate solution. We have space. We want to help. We want you to assist us with legitimate, legal, comprehensive, logical zoning and planning because we have space. The next time I hear somebody say, we don't have space to build on Maui, I'm going to poke my fingers in their eyeballs.
3 minutes.
There's more than enough land. There's more than enough resources. Please help us manage it. We can take care of ourselves. We just need help to manage it because we're being pushed back by the first-class citizens, our neighbors up on the hill who don't want to see us around.
Next testifier is Richard Prada.
Wow. Wow. This is going to go down in history, this meeting. 20 years from now, they'll be talking about this meeting. I moved here in 1989 from North Shore, Oahu, landed at Kapalua Airport with $400 and a surfboard under my arm. I showed the porter guy the address I needed to go to. Kind of looked at me like another frickin', but anyway. So he said it was in Napili, and I was like, which way is Napili? So anyway, I went up there to Napili, and long story short, I ended up renting a room in Lahaina, $450 a month. I said, wow, that's a lot. And that's how much things have changed since then. But all I wanted to say was everyone in this room can be a part of the legacy of the rebuilding of Lahaina. Whatever we do, we can all be a part of it. In 20 years, like I say, they'll be talking about us. I probably won't be here, but they'll say, I remember that guy. He did this. He helped do this. Whatever it was, not complaining about anything, just do it. Right now, I'm volunteering at the Hanakawai Hub, and I'm doing it because I don't have a job. And I'm not worried about that right now. What I'm worried about is that I want to be known as a part of the rebuilding of Lahaina in whatever shape, form it is. We just got to do the work. Thank you.